This time I will talk to you about some very basic characteristics of papers, because I've been uploading the videos of the series about paper reviews, and I just realized that there's some characteristics that can be basic, and I don't know if you know or not, but I thought it would be good to do a video about it, especially because if you are selling your prints, not just producing but you're selling, it can be pretty useful, okay, to the moment of the reproduction of your prints to have a good result. So I will start this video talking about the first very basic characteristic of a paper. That's the weight of the paper, okay? The weight, there's lots of ways to calculate, but normally this is the most common that we use, is grams per square meter. Probably you've already seen this symbol in the paper. It talks about the thickness of a paper, okay? So 300 grams per square meter paper is thicker than 100 grams per square meter paper, period. It's this simple, so it makes a lot of sense. I'll just show you a comparison, okay, of two papers just to be more easier to see. Here is a arch paper, okay, and here is a normal layout paper, 70 grams per square meter and 300 grams per square meter. You can see, you can feel from when you shake and when you move this paper that this one is much thicker, okay? So the thicker the paper, normally it handles more water, it handles wet techniques, it handles lots of layers, and there's other things that influences in the resistance of the paper, but the thickness is one of the things, okay? So the first factor is this, the weight of the paper. There's another way to calculate, I even noted it here, but it's a bit complicated to explain. I didn't find an easy way to explain, but this way of calculating the weight is doesn't consider the thickness of paper. You can have different values of weight, like these two, but the same thickness, okay? So I will let this later. If you want me, I can explain, but it's really the one that we use the most in everyday life drawing is this calculation, okay? The next point that is important about the paper, and especially in watercolor papers, is the kind of grain that you have in papers, okay? So I separated here some papers from the previous tests. So basically you have hot pressed paper, not hot pressed, that's called not because it's cold pressed, and you have the paper that's not pressed at all, that's a rough paper, okay? So what's the difference, the basic difference? The hot pressed paper, it has a very smooth surface, okay? I think you can see here, it's you can work with techniques with like lines, everything very thin, without any problem, because the paper is smooth, is as if it was ironed, okay? This is how the process is made. You have a press or a cylinder that presses this paper and make it perfectly smooth, okay? So this is the first kind of paper, the hot pressed. Then you have a second kind that is intermediate, that's called cold pressed, okay? Cold pressed paper is pressed exactly as the hot pressed, but it's cold, so it's not ironed. This pressing will just contribute for the resistance of the paper, and also you can do different textures in this paper through cold pressing process, okay? Like Canson, for example, they have a paper, it's called sea grain, it's a special fabric used just by Canson that gives an exclusive texture, and every brand, they have different textures through this process, okay? You have eggshell texture, you have the sea grain by Canson, you can achieve very different results by cold pressing, okay? And the other kind is when the paper is not pressed at all. So this is called roof paper. Is grand torchon in French, and you have a very texturized paper, very good when you're searching for loose results, not a result with a lot of details. Okay, and this is very good paper. And another thing another kind of paper that you have is paper that are mixed. Okay, this is by Fontenay, and it's for watercolors, 300 grams per square meter, and you have one side rough, and you have the other side that is fin, pardon. You have one side cold pressed. So in the same sheet of paper nowadays, with the technology of development of paper, you have two kinds of texture in the same sheet of paper. I just separated for you some results. It's not lots of work, okay, but just small results. This is watercolor done quickly in a arch paper, rough. So you see that you have very loose results. You don't have a lot of control of details. It's good for when you want not controlled work. Okay, this is another one. It's called pressed. You see that you have texture in your work, but you can control much more than with the rough paper, and you can have different results if you have the wet brush or the dry brush, as you can see here in these leaves. Okay, so this is cold pressed, and this is rough paper. And for the hot pressed, I didn't have a small test, but I will show you in this big sheet. You can have very thin lines in paper that is hot pressed, because it's smooth, so the pen just slides over the paper. The next thing that you need to know about paper is the material that makes this paper. The regular layout paper, this paper that we use in everyday life, is made with celluloses, and sometimes is recycled, sometimes is new celluloses, but is a pulp from I don't know, a kind of tree. Normally is eucalyptus, okay, in this kind of paper. But for watercolor papers or fine papers, fine art papers, you have papers made of cotton. Normally you find a certification like this, okay, 100% cotton. They will always say that the paper is made of 100% cotton, if it is, because it's a very good thing. This is one of the things that gives some characteristics as durability and resistance for the paper, so they will always advertise it. So this is an example of 100% cotton paper. This is another one, another 100% cotton, is by Centenaire. Okay, it's a new brand actually. This is why I didn't know it when I tested, but it's 100% cotton. And you have here a 25% cotton by Fabriano. All these tests you can find in the videos that I did before, and I will let the link, okay, somewhere, so you can check if you want. And this is another one by Fabriano too, but it's 100% cotton. Okay, very good paper. I love it, this paper. And as the paper is made of vegetable components, like celluloses is like the cell of a vegetable cell, you can have papers that are very natural. Like this is a paper made of banana, banana, that I use for a personal project. It's even a bit damaged here, but you can see all the fibers in the paper. And here's another one that's made of banana. It's even noisy. You can see this paper. and this is all natural fiber, so it's very resistant. Okay, and let me put this here. What is the big thing about a paper being made of cotton? Okay, because cotton is a material that is 100% acid free, almost naturally, almost 100% acid free. So it's very durable. It means that your colors, if you do them today, they will stay the same colors for a long time if you keep the paper in good conditions. This paper will not get yellow. A very good example that you have of yellow paper is a newspaper. Okay, if you let a newspaper in the sun, you see that it gets yellow in a few hours. Okay, and this kind of paper, 100% cotton, they will stay with the natural color for a long time. So, as I was saying, the cotton is important for the paper because it's also a material that is naturally white, so you don't need to add modifiers like optical brightening agent to make this paper to be clear. Okay, it's a paper that's naturally clear, so it will stay like this, and will keep the color of the paper and help to keep the colors that you used when you painted. Okay, so this is why is another reason for cotton being all this fuss about cotton paper. Another thing that's important is because this cotton is not like the cotton that you use, I don't know, for makeup or that you use in your daily life. This cotton, when the paper is very good, like the arch paper, it comes not even from the ball of cotton, it's the long fiber that's around the seed of the cotton button. Okay, so it's even more special fiber because they are longer, so when you make the paper that you mix the pulp together, these fibers, they will do this, I don't know how to say in English, but they will stay together, hold together easily and more strongly because they are long fibers. Okay. Another characteristics of papers that changes the durability of the paper and also the results that you achieve is called the sizing of a paper. What is size? The size is the glue that will help the fibers of the paper to stay together. Okay, it's added during the paper making process, and the first company to do this was Canson. Okay, but for watercolor papers, normally you can add this glue after. Okay, like a layer to change the properties of absorbency of the paper, so you change your results. This glue was made with originally with animal ingredients, let's say ingredients, but like a skin of rabbit and other animal skin, because it's a very hard glue. And nowadays you have synthetic versions, vegetable versions, but the strongest one is the animal version. Okay, so I think watercolor industry used a lot of animal thing, like these brushes, as this one that I have, it's an animal product too, so sometimes I even get a bit annoyed about it. You need to think about these things. Okay, but coming back to the paper thing, to know the amount of sizing of a paper, there's a very simple test that you can do. It's called a lifting test. You just need to paint, I will show you here. You paint an area of the paper, you wait it to dry, and after it's dry, you take a brush with clean water, very clean water, and you grab some parts of the paper, and then you take a small paper towel and you lift, okay, this towel. And if you have a clean paper, it means that there's a lot of sizing. If it's not clean, the area, it means that the paper is not sized, so it's very absorbent. Okay, so less size, more absorbent, more size, less absorbent. So I have 3 examples here just to show. This is a Moulin du Coq. This is the lifting test that I did. You can see that after that I removed the ink, it doesn't remove a lot, it stays a bit blue, and I used the same ink for all the papers. Okay, so this other one is by Hahnemann, and I did the same test, and you see that the ink go a bit more. This is a test that I did with a wetting agent, but this is the lifting test, and you still have a bit of color. But in this another paper, the Monval, the after the lifting, you can see here it's clear, as if I had not drew in the paper. Okay, it's clean, and so it means that there's a lot of sizing covering this paper. It doesn't mean that the paper is better or worse because of this characteristic, but you need to test it to achieve the best results for you in your case. So sizing is not always a good thing, okay? There are some cases, and this is the part that is that you would like to see if you are printing your works. There's sometimes that you will not want a paper with a lot of sizing, okay? I will just show here a small example. This is a draw that I did this is Fabriano paper, and there's a lot of sizing on it. When I was doing, I was able to lift the paint in some areas to let them white again, and so it was good to work. Okay, so it's good when you're doing the original work. But if you want to print a watercolor work, you want to copy, to sell your work, you want to take a paper but not sized. Okay, this is an example I did for my portfolio, and you see here that it reproduces very well the watercolor. It almost seems original, even the small stains, okay, because this paper is not sized, so the ink will go directly inside the fibers of the paper and it will stay. So when you're printing your works, you want this ink to stay in the paper, okay? It's different of producing a original work, and this is why when you compare a copy, I know this is a good copy, but when you have an original work in watercolors and you have a copy, you have difference, because in watercolor the ink stays on top of the paper, not embedded in the paper, and when you print, this ink will go directly inside the paper, so you lose one of the characteristics that is the most basic in watercolors, that is that you can see the paper through the ink. You understand? You have a reflection of light that goes in the ink and reflects back through the paper, okay, that goes back to your eyes, so you lose this transparency feeling. So this is why it's so different reproduction and a different and an original watercolor artwork. Okay, in the Hahnemann website you can find lots of tests of paper. The scientific version of this test, if you want to take a look, I will let a link in the description. But my purpose, my intentions with these videos is just to show you all the size of the different results that you can achieve with papers. Okay, not trying to find what paper is best, what paper is the best one, but is to know what each paper can do for you. Okay, so try to know. I hope this series helped you to show to know what every paper can do for your work, and that helps you to choose and create better. Okay, so bye bye and see you next.